Wife!
Do you remember what we did yesterday and where the hell we are today?
Well, yesterday we read Ezekiel chapter 29.
We did.
And in that chapter there was crocodiles, sort of, but not really, because they were supposed to be, but then we didn't have them because they weren't in there. Mm-hmm. It was in other interpretations, apparently. But then you sang a song at the end.
I did.
So we had a crocodile song.
That was fun.
But the part that I remember the most is that God apparently prophesied the downfall for 40 years of Egypt.
Yeah.
They were going to be scattered and nothing and gone. Mm-hmm. Didn't ever happen in history.
No, it didn't.
Never happened.
No.
So I call bullshit on the Bible right there with a false fucking prophecy in the Bible.
Flag on the play, bitches.
Right? Yeah. So I whatever, that false prophecy. That's all I got to say.
Foul ball.
And that was Ezekiel chapter 29.
Sure as fuck was.
Which means that today we're getting into
Ezekiel chapter 30.
And before we hop into this episode, I do want to mention one more time. I'll probably say this a few more times, actually. But if you are able to help us by shop, like if you shop on Amazon right now, all you got to do is hop over to sacrilegiousdiscourse.com/shop. And it'll take you to a page where you can go to Amazon from our link, and it helps get a kickback from your shopping on Amazon. And really would be appreciated if you would go there, bookmark that page, and help us out with that. That would be absolutely incredible. So if you get a chance to do that, do that. And that being said, let's go ahead and get into Ezekiel chapter 30.
Okie dokie. All right, we are getting into Ezekiel chapter 30, or as I like to call it, Ezekiel.
Okay.
And we are continuing our prophecies against Egypt.
Oh.
Those go from chapters 29 through 32.
So they didn't have enough of being wrong the first time they did the prophecy, so now they're going to continue to do it?
Exactly.
Okay, all right.
This particular chapter is going to describe the ruin of Egypt and all her allies by the Chaldeans under Nebuchadnezzar.
Okay. All right. Yeah.
So that's what we're getting into today.
I just want to be clear here. I did a little bit more research, not like a ton, but just a little bit more research. Mm-hmm. And there were Nebuchadnezzar definitely did weaken Egypt, but never fully conquered them.
No.
So I just want to keep that in mind as we're reading through, because I think it's really important when God is telling us that they will be destroyed and scattered for 40 years, that is incorrect. That is not true. Somebody
read the political winds, but they were the wrong way.
Right.
They didn't have their compass pointed the correct cardinal direction.
Yeah.
All right. Guess what happened?
Ezekiel heard from God.
Yep. The word of the Lord came to me.
Did it?
Son of man.
Yeah, mere human.
You fucking worm. Prophecy and say, this is what the sovereign Lord says.
Okay.
This is what the sovereign Lord says. Wail and say, alas for that day. So say that you're going to say,
alas
that I said
day.
This.
Yeah. Okay. Sure.
For the day is near. The day of the Lord is near. A day of clouds. A time of doom for the nations. A sword, the sword of the Lord, will come against Egypt, and anguish will come upon Cush. Although, depending on what translation we're reading, it's either Cush or Sudan or Ethiopia.
Oh, okay. All right.
So just thought I'd throw that out there.
Yeah, so they don't even know what they're talking about from translation to translation, maybe?
They're on the same different kind of area, so...
Right. Like, thereabouts.
Yeah.
Over there.
Thereabouts.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anguish is going to come on one of them cities over there.
Okay. Well, some of them are nations, but...
Whatever.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying.
just saying.
I am geographically challenged, so anything I say with regards to geography cannot be held against me.
Sure.
Okay. When the slain fall in Egypt, her wealth will be carried away and her foundations torn down.
Okay.
Womp womp, sucks to suck. Cush and Lydia, and all Arabia, Cub, and the people of the covenant land will fall by the sword, along with Egypt.
But not.
Right.
I mean, not fully.
Right. Clearly.
Still.
Right. This is what the Lord says.
Okay.
The allies of Egypt will fall, and her proud strength will fail. From Migdol to Aswan, they will fall by the sword within her, declares the sovereign Lord. Remember we talked about from Migdol to Aswan yesterday?
Yeah.
Okay. They will be desolate among desolate lands, and their cities will lie among ruined cities.
Okay.
So basically what they're saying is that when Egypt falls, all around her fall as well.
Right.
And so everybody's going to be lamenting the fall of Egypt, not just for the fall of Egypt itself, but for what it means
like
for surrounding
region.
areas.
Right. Yeah.
So that is funny.
And it falls in line. Like, I mean, obviously Nebuchadnezzar was making a huge push and conquering all kinds of people at this time. And so,
there were a lot of border skirmishes. And like I said, he did put a dent into Egypt.
Right.
He kicked them in the crotch, though.
Right.
He did not knock them down.
Right. No, I mean, I feel like we should dig into this quite a bit in our Q&A, because I am very curious about the historicity here versus like what the Bible is saying is going to happen / did happen. So
I'd actually like to do more than a Q&A on some Egypt history.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
That would be more than
and
just
how it lines up biblically or whatever.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That seems like a little bit of a research project for us. So, yeah. Then they will know that I am the Lord when I set fire to Egypt and all her helpers are crushed. You know, the way I like to murder everybody because I'm a murdery son of a bitch.
Right, right.
On that day, messengers will go out for me in ships to frighten Cush out of her complacency. Anguish will take hold of them on the day of Egypt's doom, for it is sure to come. This is what the sovereign Lord says. I will put an end to the hordes of Egypt by the hand of Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, because today I'm in love with him, but tomorrow I hate him for being the tool that he is.
Yeah. This whole thing is just, it's really weird to me because I feel like the whole point of most of this was to punish the Israelites, right? But now we're delving into all these other, groups of people and clans and different countries and everything, and they haven't really been a part of the Old Testament thus far, other than small bits, right? Like they've entered in small sections,
like a bit over there on the side,
right? And
like Bible adjacent.
And this feels like this Nebuchadnezzar king guy from Babylon. He's just like taking over history at this point, right?
Or whoever wrote this thought that was how it was going to go down. Right.
So I mean, he's just the biggest news of the time, right?
Right.
And so that's why he's being mentioned all over the place. And that's why it's even in the Bible where they're mentioning how much he's destroying and taking over and everything. I don't really feel like this has anything to do with prophecy or anything. It just, it's not a matter of feeling whether it has anything to do with it doesn't have anything to do with prophecy.
Right. It's all
just
politics.
Nebuchadnezzar was a powerful king that was ruling a powerful group of people that was conquering lots of other lands. That's all that was happening.
Yep. He and his army, the most ruthless of nations, will be brought in to destroy the land. I mean, I don't think they're going to destroy the land. I think they're going to take it and use it for their own.
Sure.
They will draw their swords against Egypt and fill the land with the slain. I will dry up the waters of the Nile and sell the land to an evil nation.
Babylon, I'm assuming.
No, he's saying that. Oh, yeah. Or I don't know who the evil nation is, but he's saying he's gonna fuck up Egypt and dry it up. And then he's going to sell Egypt to an evil nation.
Yeah.
By the hand of foreigners, I will lay waste the land and everything in it. I, the Lord, have spoken.
He's speaking of the Egyptians almost like he would speak of the Israelites, right? Like he's talking about foreigners are going to come in and do this thing, right?
Yep.
But in the past, Egyptians would have been foreigners.
Yeah.
So I don't understand the wording that we're using. I don't understand why we care so much about anybody other than the Israelites right now.
Yeah.
Because God has not cared about any of these people prior.
Except that he did not want them to laugh at him.
Right. No, it was more about you don't want to follow these, like these people over here are all bad, right? But now that Babylon is coming in, all of a sudden they're all, these are all people that we care about what's happening to them suddenly.
Right.
And it's just really weird. It's just really weird.
It's not when you just put it in the same terms that you did earlier.
Yeah, no, I know.
You said, hey, some guy was coming through here with a, vacuum cleaner sweeping up. This is what the sovereign Lord says. I will destroy the idols and put an end to the images in Memphis. Not Memphis, Tennessee.
No, yeah.
Memphis, Egypt.
Right.
Yeah. No longer will there be a prince in Egypt, and I will spread fear throughout the land. Oh, I forgot to say yesterday that they use the term prince and king in Egypt interchangeably.
Sure.
And the same as Babylon. They use it just like one minute they're saying prince and the next minute they're saying king.
Right.
And I personally think that it's a loose translation of some other kind of royalty leader that we maybe didn't have the correct word for.
Sure.
So,
well, and I mean, like oftentimes you would refer to the leaders of Egypt as pharaohs, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. It's weird that we started calling them kings and princes and stuff.
Yeah, yeah. And I will spread fear throughout the land. Fear the Lord. Always fear the Lord.
Yeah.
Never not be afraid.
It's very, very important.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I will lay waste Upper Egypt, set fire to Zoan, and inflict punishment on Thebes. I will pour out my wrath on Pelusium and the stronghold of Egypt, and wipe out the hordes of Thebes. I will set fire to Egypt.
To the rain.
I set fire to Egypt. Pelusium will writhe in agony.
Yeah, that wasn't good.
No, I don't. I can't. I'm not Adele.
No.
What the fuck?
No.
Thebes will be taken by storm. Memphis will be in constant distress. It's like he's got 5 Egyptian cities and he's like, I'm going to run through these 5 names over and over again.
Right.
And tell you that I'm going to burn them and fuck them up.
Right.
And then I'm going to scatter, smother, cover them.
Right.
And then I'm going to fuck them up some more.
And I have no doubt maybe that some of these actually did get screwed up, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like maybe they did get attacked and lots of people died, but obviously Egypt didn't lose.
Right.
So they either came back and fought back those places or something happened.
Mm-hmm.
And again, this is part of what I'm interested in learning more about.
Yeah,
but,
same.
It's not quite what they're saying, I don't think.
No. The young men of Heliopolis and Bubastes will fall by the sword, and the cities themselves will go into captivity. Dark will be the day at Topanes when I break the yoke of Egypt.
Okay.
Break the yoke of Egypt means that all of the people that they hold as slaves,
right,
will be
set free, or whatever.
But
right.
Not like because he loves setting slaves free. It's not about the people being held as slaves or the people being held as servants. It's about the fuck you, Egypt. Like,
right.
So stupid.
Yeah.
There her proud strength will come to an end, but it didn't, though. She will be covered with clouds, and her villages will go into captivity. So I will inflict punishment on Egypt, and they will know
that he's the Lord.
I'm the Lord.
Yeah.
In the 11th year, in the 1st month, on the 7th day, the word of the Lord came to me.
Okay.
Now, let me see what that day is. Scroll.
That have been like February or something, I think.
It's April 29th, 587 BCE.
Huh.
You were so wrong.
Well, I thought I remembered you saying the 10th month was like January or something. So
Yeah. Well, this is not the same calendar.
Got it.
So, no, you're wrong. Okay?
Yep.
Son of man.
You mere human.
You fucking worm. I have broken the arm of Pharaoh, king of Egypt.
You broke his arm?
I broke his goddamn
Poor guy.
arm.
Yeah.
It has not been bound up to be healed or put in a splint so that it may become strong enough to hold a sword. Therefore, this is what the sovereign Lord says.
Okay.
I am against Pharaoh, king of Egypt. Yeah. I will break both his arms, the good arm as well as the broken one, and make the sword fall from his hand. I'm gonna cut off.
Merely a flesh wound.
I know. I was going to say, I'm going to cut off both of his legs and watch him bounce on the ground, trying to fight still.
Right.
I will disperse the Egyptians among the nations and scatter them through the countries. I will strengthen the arms of the king of Babylon and put my sword in his hand. But I will break the arms of Pharaoh, which I already said.
Yeah.
And he will groan before him like a mortally wounded man. I just want to drive it home one more time. I'm going to have Babylon have good arms, strong arms, pretty arms, with my Lord of the Sword ward power. And then I'm also going to have Egypt with broken arms. And I'm going to break them and they'll be broken.
Right.
Okay?
I feel like we could have covered this in just like a few sentences. Like, God doesn't like Egypt. He made Babylon the sword of the Lord. They have strong arms, and they broke the arms of the Egyptians, and they died and got scattered.
The end.
Right, yeah.
I will strengthen the arms of the king of Babylon and put my sword in his hand, but I will break the arms of Pharaoh, and he will groan before him like a mortally wounded man. I will strengthen the arms of the king of Babylon.
Wait, are we still? Are you repeating, or is this?
I am not
still
repeating. I'm not repeating.
Okay.
I am still reading.
Jesus.
But the arms of Pharaoh will fall limp.
Because they're broken, right? We get it.
Like a dick.
Like who? Come on, man. We understand what you're saying here.
Do you understand that he will have broken arms?
I think I get it. Yeah.
And that his arms will be broken.
I'm pretty sure that's been driven home pretty strong.
And they're going to be limp.
Yeah.
Like a dick.
Although, if you break your arms, I feel like they wouldn't be limp. You'd be holding them in a way that, like,
oh, God. All I could think is every time I've ever been in pain and been in a car, and then every little jolt in the car bounces your pain.
Yeah.
Oof.
Yeah.
No. I've never even broken a bone, so this does not sound appealing to me.
Right.
Then they will know. What are they going to know?
That he's the Lord.
I'm the Lord when I put my sword into the hand of the king of Babylon and he brandishes it against Egypt.
We've talked about this before, too. The fact that he's sending a human being after people that he despises or whatever doesn't really bode well for his godliness.
Shh. I'm totally God.
No. If you're God, you could just fucking do this yourself, and you wouldn't even have to worry about somebody not completing the job because you're God.
You just don't know. You're just puny brain. You don't have the thinky bits to be able to understand everything I'm dealing with. I'm God.
Sure.
I will disperse the Egyptians among the nations and scatter them through the countries. Then they will know
that he's the Lord.
That I'm the Lord, the end.
Okay.
Whee!
I am having a really hard time caring at all,
honestly,
about Egypt. And look, it's not about Egypt in particular. It's about the fact that we have been discussing the Israelites and the Israelites and the Israelites. And that's all that God has fucking cared about, unless it was something from another country affecting the Israelites.
Right. Like when Egypt was holding them hostage during the times of Moses.
And now all of a sudden in Ezekiel, which is the same time frame as Jeremiah, we're supposed to care about these other nations, right?
He's like, I'm going to fuck up Egypt. And it's like, okay.
And I'm just not seeing the point in it. I don't understand the point of this. Like, what is the point?
It's the point. You do know the point. The point is that the more that he is able to say, look at all of the bad things that I did, that makes him powerful, thereby making the people powerful.
Sure. But I also reject his idea of what power entails too. And I don't, it doesn't sit well with me that he's boasting about killing lots of people in order to prove that he is the Lord, like that.
That his dick is bigger than any of the other gods.
It just seems like a very toxic fucking god. That's all.
I own the most land. I have the strongest motherfuckers, and they all fear me.
Right. Only I can't actually stand up for myself, apparently, because I won't do anything myself now. I did in the past, sort of, kind of, maybe, if you read it just right.
I won't even talk to the people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have to talk to these crazy motherfuckers that see fucking eyeballs and wheels and walk around naked in the goddamn desert and whatever. Fuck it's fucking crazy.
It's stupid.
Like, this whole thing is crazy.
I have come to the conclusion that Bible, not a fan.
Right. I mean, I think we say that quite a bit. But at the same time, and we say this a lot too, I think it's still very important to understand these themes and these ideas, because they are ideas that are being read in a different light in this era.
Yeah.
In order to justify hatred toward other cultures and other people, and the fact that this stuff is in a book that some Christians are taking more and more seriously.
Well, like, for example, when people ask us all the time, why do you talk about politics so much? Why are you so blah, blah? Okay, so just FYI for any Americans who aren't aware, and for any of our foreign listeners, the Southern Baptists of America or whatever are having their little convention thing to try to start a movement to get rid of IVF.
Right.
So I'm sorry. Why are they doing that? Because they are fuckfaces who are caught up in their fucking religion.
Right.
And that's why we talk about politics when we talk about religion.
Not just that, but what's the justice's name that just got in trouble for the flags and all that kind of shit?
Oh,
I can't remember his name off the top.
Alito?
That sounds close.
Is
at
it
least
that guy?
I feel like I should have been prepared for this, but I'm just bringing this up off the cuff. So
yeah.
But yeah, we have right-wing nationalists, Christian nationalists in our fucking Supreme Court.
Yeah.
We have right-wing Christian nationalists in the form of MTG or Marjorie Taylor Greene and Lauren Boebert in our fucking Congress,
who talk about Jewish space lasers.
Right. We have Trump, who leads a fucking army of right-wing Christian nationalists
who say that they are proud to be Christian nationalists.
Yeah. No, it's actually getting a little bit scary in this country, and I don't want to sound like an alarmist, because I feel more so than you that we can come back from this, right? But at the same time, the warning labels are all there on the wall.
Yeah,
like we're seeing a lot of shit that is in fact very scary with regard to how people are acting and how ideas about what is right and acceptable are changing in our country. And it's done this in my lifetime. And that to me is probably the scariest thing, because I actually felt like for a long time that we were moving to be a very much more progressive nation.
Right.
And it's suddenly not suddenly, but it has turned back the other way.
It's not just stagnated, it's literally turned backwards, so that the Overton window is so far in the negative that it will take another lifetime to move it back to where it was when you and I were children in the 80s.
Right. And that's honestly how, and we talk about this too, but there's some things that have still progressed, like social ideas still maintain the majority view as positively going in the right direction, right? But overall, we're ceding ground to the Christian right nationalists on almost a daily basis.
I feel like the Democrats in power, and I separate them from the progressives.
Yeah.
The Democrats in power are not taking this seriously enough.
I would agree with you there, and that's not to say that. I still say get out and vote for the Democrats. Like, that's the only way to ensure that we get this stuff resolved and fixed in our country.
Well, yeah, vote blue no matter who, because you vote for the person that you are most comfortable having the fight with.
Right.
And I feel like I can fight with Democrats
easier and
maybe get more ground
rationally.
Yeah.
Right. But at the same time, I would say this as well, because, I think that you should also, if you have the ability to do so, support groups that are fighting for the right causes, like Planned Parenthood, Freedom from Religion Foundation, Planned Parenthood, the ACLU. I'm going to miss a lot here, but even on a more personal basis, there's a lot of groups that can help fight things that are more progressive.
People that support LGBTQ rights.
Yeah, so I mean the Trevor Project.
Yes, thank you.
So there's lots of worthy causes to support out there, and I think that the only way that we are going to push back against the Democrats is to A, vote for them in the meantime, and B, show them where we truly stand by supporting these groups and having them fight harder for the progressive values that we actually hold dear. You know,
and these horrible progressive values are merely, we just have human rights and treat each other decently.
Sure.
Like, literally, can we just not burn the planet down?
That would be fantastic,
right?
Wouldn't it? Yeah.
I mean, I don't understand why universal health care or stuff like taking care of our kids and making sure that they're all fed properly. Like, I don't understand why these are controversial things.
Right.
I really don't.
Yeah, I agree. We're getting off on a little bit of a political tangent here, so let's bring it back to...
It's been a while, so I feel justified.
It has. But let's go ahead. Are you ready to wrap this up, or do you have any other notes on the chapter that we covered? Or
Nope, that was it.
All right, so God's fucking Egypt up. That was Ezekiel chapter 30.
Sure as fuck was.
Which means that we will be back tomorrow on Saturday for...
Q&A Saturday.
And then since we missed it last week, on Sunday we'll be doing a...
Patreon.
And then I will get the weekly wrap-up together, and we will be back on Monday with...
Ezekiel or Easy Kyle, chapter 31.
All right, we'll see you then.
Bye.
Hey, wife, I guess that's the end?
But husband, that's just sad.
It doesn't have to be. We are on lots of social media platforms like Twitter. Our handle there is sacrilegious_D.
For D's nuts.
Oh my god. Stop doing that. Anyway, we're also on Facebook, Instagram, and Pinterest. There's a link to all of our social media sites at our website.
Ooh, we have a website?
Yeah, it's sacrilegiousdiscourse.com, where you can also find a link to our merch shop.
We have a merch shop?
Yep, we have podcast-themed clothing, mugs, notebooks, and more, as well as an atheist and science-themed products.
Wow, our fans should really go check that out right now.
Definitely. They can get in touch with us by sending an email to sacrilegiousdiscourse@gmail.com. But before they do that, we could really use some help.
Oh yeah? With what?
Well, it's not free running the podcast, and we need some financial support in order to get better equipment, which will free up time so we can concentrate on our podcast and our fans.
Okay, so what should they do?
Head over to patreon.com/sacrilegious discourse and sign up as a contributor on our podcast. Supporters there receive additional bi-weekly episodes that we record just for our Patreon members for as little as $2 a month.
Also, we'd really appreciate it if you would like and subscribe on whatever platform you're using.
And Apple Podcast reviews help us out tremendously.
Like and subscribe. Leave an Apple review. Join us on Twitter. Support us on Patreon. That's a lot of instructions. Don't forget to say thanks.
Thanks.
Okay, bye.